Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. I am doing a very super random live stream just to hang out and build a bunch of models because I've been playing a lot of Beasts of Chaos. If you haven't seen me over on Rerolling Ones, and of course if you're following the channel along, you know that. But yeah, so I've been doing a lot of Beasts of Chaos, and what I realized is that my collection for the army is kind of limiting me. And so I went out and made a bunch of purchases, and so a bunch. Sounds extreme. It's not really a bunch, but a few purchases, and am now sitting down to build some of them. So this has no structure, no form whatsoever. It's just going to be me chilling. There's no big news that came out. I will touch on the Stormcast heads that came out, which are pretty cool. I think they're awesome. But mostly this is going to be me just building stuff, and you can chill out and ask questions if you want. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so I went out and got 3 boxes of Zangor Enlightened things. I already had another set, which let me show you the concept model here. And if you were following along with what I was trying to do with this army is basically play a generic Beast of Chaos and then kind of dive into the various like sub-factions kind of. So here is, let me see if I can get a good one up front here. But that is my, this thing never wants to focus above a certain point. It's kind of the idea for my Zangor Enlightened, where they have the same Gave spawn flesh, but a lot more of the blue accents that kind of draw them all together. So we have Thing of Enlightened, as well as a Shaman, who I put a lot of work into. Yeah, I got his hair going. You can't really see it too well on the camera, but from a nice hot pink to a purple, just to give it something else. So, and the reason for this, for all of this brokenness straight up, because anyone who understands the army is probably like gagging a little bit right now. But basically it's because the collection of Beasts of Chaos stuff that I do own, it's all like chaff. Like I have 60 Bestigor. I do have 30. No, wait, that's not true. I have 60 Gore, 30 Bestigor that are kind of built to be 3 10-man units. But yeah, so I mean, the thing is that I have a lot of stuff that dies super easy and is meant to tie up the enemy, but not a lot of stuff to do damage. And so I went out in a moment after I played Ben with his Daughters of Cain, and I see he just jumped in the chat. After he beat me so harshly that I just, had my tail between my legs. That's a joke. He was fine. He did great. After beating me so bad, I was like, okay, how do I build this army in a way that has teeth? Like, how, you know what I mean? Because I just didn't feel like anything in my collection, I don't know. There's nothing in my collection that could do anything to what I was seeing across the table. So I went on to the Beasts of Chaos page, and I was like, okay, guys, what's good in our army? Because I have a lot of the stuff that's intended to tie things up. I'm good there. I'm not a power gamer. I just have a lot of the nothing, the fluff, if you will, but not a lot of what makes the faction super effective. And so they pointed me towards Enlightened and Skyfires, and eventually when I do the corn stuff, I will move into, what are they called? Warherd, so the Doom Bull and Bulgor and stuff like that. So that is the ultimate goal. Let's build some discs. The nice thing is that I had to build these 3 Enlightened for a tournament, so I had to put them on the base, whereas all these other ones, I'm going to build them and paint the disc separately. Because, well, you can't even really see it, but the actual center of the disc isn't really painted that well. But it's dark enough so that it doesn't really matter. Folks won't really be looking in there. So yeah. Wow, chat's filling up faster than I thought it would just for clicking on the camera. I thought I was just going to be sitting here by myself for a little while. So yeah, on the note of the Beast of Chaos, it's going pretty well. I will say this. I enjoy every game I play because I play with really cool people. But I'm still trying to figure out what the army is supposed to do. Like, what the win condition is. I don't know, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Where it just seems like I get smoked a lot, and like they're not close games, which is the problem. Like I don't mind losing. I could lose 1,000 times as long as they're close. And I feel like I gave my opponent a game, so that's why I went down this rabbit hole of picking up a bunch of enlightened stuff. But yeah, all my games have been good. Like the one people have been talking about is one I have on rerolling ones with Jack, which I'm a little embarrassed about because I forgot a bunch of rules, and that's my bad. But I mean, people will compliment the models and the paint scheme, and I'm excited. So let's see here. So in the chat, I have a question for you. Who is jumping on the Gloomspite Gets warband wagon, I guess? I had probably like 120-ish grots, a couple spider dudes, like 15 of them. And I actually gave them to Jack from rerolling ones because he was interested in that army at the time. I think right before the book came out. And I think he offered me once before. I was like, you can have them back if I needed them. And I was like, they just seem like a different version of Beasts of Chaos. You know, where you combine all the different things and you can kind of merge them together, and they all have allegiance abilities on their own, that kind of stuff. So they don't seem different enough to make me want to change kind of what I'm working on. Then again, I do, honestly, after reading the Battle Tome for a week now, I do think they're a better version of Beasts of Chaos. So if you haven't yet started an army, I think they are solid AF. Let's see here. Kenzie asks, how would you suggest painting clean dots? Ooh. I'm trying to paint small white dots on my Space Marine shoulder pads, but I had a little success with my brush. Is someone else know the answer to that? I would not know how to do that. Yeah, how would you paint dots on a mushroom would be the same trick. They'd both be curved surfaces. Other than like taking a very fine tip brush and just like literally poking, being very careful to go like straight up and straight down, I wouldn't know. I don't think I've ever actually painted a dot, like a singular dot. It's always like a stipple or area or something like that. Let's see here. Ooh, got a Trog. What is it? The Troggeth Herd or whatever it's called. Trog Herd, yep. In the works. That's awesome. Yep. We're all trying to collectively peer pressure Shu from rerolling ones to do Trog Herd. And the main reason is because he was so disappointed with War Herd and how this all panned out with Beasts of Chaos that we think I think sincerely that the Trog Herd is literally an upgrade. Like, it is the same thing, but better. Which, you know, and I said before, I think that a lot of these stuff from, like, I think Beast of Chaos was the first battle tome to really bring those old factions together the way that they did. And I think Gloomspite Gets perfected it. Perfected might be strong, but I think it was definitely a remarkable step forward. So, yeah. Let's see here. Oopa. Question, would Boar Boys be good in Gloomspite Gets? When you say Boar Boys, are you talking about the Bone Splitter ones, or are you talking about like the generic greenskin Boar Boys? I don't remember what everyone's name was. For either one of them, I can't remember how many wounds they all have. I think the Bone Splitter ones have 3 wounds, which would be amazing. Because things in Gloomspite don't tend to last very long on the table, so having a beef wall to kind of absorb damage would not be a bad thing at all. Let's see here. Oh, Nico, awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Suggest to get a perfect dot, cut the tip off a toothpick and use that. That is a fantastic idea. Thank you, everyone, for hopping in there and helping Kenzie out. James Valdez, haven't been to Adepticon in years. Does anyone know if or when they'll drop a player pack for AOS? I know that they will. However, I also know that Alex I don't remember his last name. I don't think it's Gonzalez. I don't remember his last name, but Alex, who is the main dude leading it, he like literally just had a kid, and so he's taking a little time to himself. So I'm sure it will come up soon after he gets back into the swing of things. So, or someone else will kind of man the helm. But that's he's on Garage Hammer, the podcast, and so the last episode he wasn't on because the one before that it was the countdown to the baby arriving. So I'm sure he kind of stepped away for a little bit, but he is the dude who makes Adepticon stuff happen for AOS, and that's what I know about it. Omniphage says, Doug, theme of Beast of Chaos says they are A+ speed, B damage, C- resilience. Honestly, you're so fast you can do some stupid stuff, grab objectives so well, and summon. Yes, so when I talk about my army, like the thing is I went to that event and I did exceptionally well, and I was so happy with the army. And the reason I did exceptionally well is because I multiple times landed turn 1 charges from my deployment zone because I had cogs and all the junk to make Gore go super deadly fast. So I got turn 1 charges and just literally swamped my opponent in their deployment zone. And they chewed through those Gore by turn 3, but at that time I was so ahead in objectives and stuff like that, though it didn't matter. Point is, I absolutely agree with you. The issue I ran into was if there was any kind of summoning or like the Stormcast prayer that lets them teleport a dude, and they were anywhere that wasn't where I swamped them, I didn't have any units in the backfield to go pick those things off. These guys I brought to the tournament, the Enlightened tier, and they deleted 3 units of Liberators over the course of the day. 2 of them were in one game because he was doing that. He was spamming that prayer like crazy, trying to get around my swamp wall. So yeah, I think you absolutely nailed it. That is a correct assessment. It's just that as far as painted stuff goes, if my opponent has anything that can get around that initial swamping of Gores, I don't have a whole lot of options. So yeah. Let's see here. Oh, people chat a little faster than I can keep up with. Let's see here. Would there be a star collecting Idnith Deepkin? There is a rumor that there is, in fact, a star collecting Deepkin. No idea what's in it, but it's like an order form for if you are a store owner or a GW store manager, like a next month's pricing thing. There was a Deepkin and a Magakin of Nurgle on there, but there's 0 details. It's like pricing structure for a corporate document. Like there's nothing on there, but it is heavily rumored, assuming that thing is not fake, and pretty much expected. Anonymous plays live. Do really elite armies like Trogherd, Warherd, etc. have a hard time playing objectives? Is it necessary to get smaller units to help grab objectives, participate in the objective game? Absolutely. It is super vital. I'll say if you're playing narrative missions, a lot of the narrative missions, they interact with objectives differently. But if you're talking about like match play stuff, absolutely. The games that I won with Beasts of Chaos, it wasn't because I killed a bunch of my opponent's army. In fact, most of their army survived the entire game. The reason I got points is because I could summon a unit of Gore on the battlefield edge, charge one of your units sitting on the objective, and when we go to count who has more models within 6 inches, I do. Even though my Gore are on the verge of death in next turn because a soft breeze kills 10 of them and Battle Shock gets the rest. You know what I mean? Like, so numerically speaking, you're at a disadvantage. If you do want to do a very elite army, which I suggest everyone try, just so you understand the value of cheap chaff, get really good about model placement. So like, for example, if my opponent had put those 2 or 3 models they had near the board edge, right? Because I have to come on the board edge 9 inches away from the enemy. There was a chance that I could charge them, and then they would still technically in that 6-inch bubble have more guys than me because I had to charge the guy right in front. So, you know what I mean? Just, I don't know, point is, be really smart about model placement. Other than that, like, I'm trying to think. I don't actually know. I haven't gotten to the allegiance abilities really much for Gloomspite gets. I don't know what the Troggoths really have in their arsenal. I've read the unit entries, but yeah, they're going to struggle. I mean, it's the same problem that, what do you call it? Beast Cloud Raiders has. There's just so much concentration of wounds in one dude, and they're amazing, and they're really good at what they do. There's just not enough of them. So you often see allies or whatever their little grot variants are, or Yetis, because they're like 3 in a unit versus anything bigger than that. Let's see here. Can Gloomspite get ally with Ironjaws? You know, I actually don't have my book on me. I have it written down somewhere. I know I wrote it down because I take all my notes digitally. Let's see. They can ally with Bone Splitters, get Mob Grots, and Greenskins. So no, they are not an Ironjaws ally. But I like that they're a Bone Splitter ally. That's super cool because Bone Splitters need more love. Omniphage. Ironjaws can take Moon Clan allies. That is an interesting distinction. Khorne has something like that too, where Khorne can ally in Brayherd, but they can't ally in Beast of Chaos. Just funny little things like that as Battle Tomes evolve and change. For a split second, I thought you said, can Gene Stealer Cult, GSC is the acronym often used for Gene Stealer Cult. I was like, I don't know what the heck this guy's talking about. Okay. Yeah, I think overall it's been a very exciting release. I gotta say, whoever is handling their social media and like how the releases go is absolutely killing it. We've come such a long way from the what I think is the worst type of release, and hear me out when I say this, the Deepkin. And by that I mean the models were amazing, the book was amazing, loved everything about it, except for the way the marketing team revealed it, and it took like over a month to get everything out. So people were excited to play an army, but they couldn't play it, and this all that kind of stuff. This one, boom, 2 weeks, they built up hype. They had massive social media presence with like the small, bigger, biggest, you know, as they kind of elevated the size. They did a great job of like sharing the lore. I don't know. I thought it was all just, it was extremely smooth and well done. Why would a big orc take orders from a weedy grot? Well, in the case of the Bone Splitters, they all revere, they're far more, I think, spiritual. Like they revere shamans and things like that. And so if particularly Mork or Gork is blessing you, they will listen. If you are someone who can continuously point an orc towards a good fight, they'll just do whatever you say. The only difference being that Ironjaws need extremely big fights because they are, in the lore, the toughest of the tough of the tough. Hope they do more cool animated trailers for their releases in the future. Absolutely, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. We haven't seen... I personally don't think there was a pitch, meaning like the trailer that we saw, and then the build-up, like the Moon Clan Grots, since the Daughters of Cain. I think that was top-notch. I mean, that was incredible when Daughters of Cain came out. What's the best kill team for close combat? I believe Tyranids with a focus on Gene Stealers is the best that I've heard of, but unless someone has something different. Let's see. This guy's... Okay. That is my understanding. Harlequins. Harlequins are... Yep, you said that as well. That's a fantastic point. Harlequins are legit. I think the biggest thing with melee is just speed. All right, being good at melee is one thing, but if you can't get to the fight quick enough, you're just a big target. So I haven't played a ton of Kill Team. I've really been focusing on getting the beast painted up, but I do want to play some more. It does sound fun. Let's see here. I'm just reading comments here. Question: what's your favorite Gloomspite unit? To me, it is the Loon Smasher Fanatics. The classic Fanatic, the one with the big ball and chain. Absolutely, without question, my favorite. I love the unique mechanic. It's some cool design space where they hide inside of a unit. Thematically, they look great. The video comes out tomorrow about them and their lore, and you'll understand. I go into detail about why I'm so crazy about them, but they are truly my favorite things. Basically, you take the Hulk and you paralyze them and then throw them in a unit with a wrecking ball. I'd love to hear your TWP 3 tips for staying focused on an army. I'm constantly wanting to collect the next dude. So, Tau Dark, I have a question for you. How long have you been a fan of my channel? Because I switch armies like you breathe. In fact, it's a big deal that I'm doing Beasts of Chaos right now because it's an army I've committed to for the year. But last year I played Demons of Tzeentch, Ironjaws, Fire Slayers. I had an order army in there somewhere that wasn't Fire Slayers. I had a whole bunch of stuff, and then I bounced around 40k as well every once in a while. But yeah, I'm all over the place. I can't offer you help except to say, when you're getting excited about something, if you just have the fortitude, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but just to say, no, I committed to blank. And that's what I'm doing here. Like, the Gloomspite stuff has certainly intrigued me. But I just remind myself, like, no, I made a commitment. And that's the best I can do for you. Truthfully speaking, what it really is that the reason I want to commit to an army is because I feel like I'm good at painting a lot of different things, and I'm good at playing a lot of different things, but I'm not great at any of them because I don't give myself enough time to be great at any of them. And it's become a real bummer. And so I want to be super great at an army. And so this is why you go out and you buy a bunch of broken stuff, you know, you just get good, but faster. No, that's exactly what it is. Cause like, I actually prematurely talked to my patrons where I was like, hey everybody, I'm getting, Carriage and Overlords. There was a local gentleman who, was trying to clear some out. And I was like, I do objectively want that army at some point. It's like, but some things real life came up and car troubles and stuff like that. And so I was like, this really isn't a good time. So I put that on the shelf. And then I was like, but why don't I choose to stay focused? And I went and got some Zangor Enlightened. And I ordered, not pictured here because it's in the mail. It should arrive tomorrow. But is a Chimera. So I'll have my first big beast besides the Gorgon. But the first true, I guess, monster of my monsters, Beasts of Chaos, in the form of a Chimera, which I got on eBay because GW hasn't had them in stock since they released the faction. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the only advice I have is just when you start getting that itch, you just remember your commitments, remember why you're doing what you're doing. I have to remind myself what I want out of this hobby. Like I want, again, like I said, I want to be better than I've been with any other army. I want to learn a faction better than ever before, that kind of stuff. Man, this last one just does not want to stay down. Okay, a whole bunch of questions just came in. Let me just pour back up here. Can't stay live as it is 3 a.m. here, but I'm excited to have this for hobby time tomorrow. That's awesome with my new Carriage and Overlords. What are your hopes for the Skaven Flesh Eater Quartz box? Books for single clan / all Skaven. My real, if I'm just throwing out there like my random wants and dreams, this has no information or no bearing in reality. I would love if they took the rules writing effort they put into 40k last year, or this last year, with getting all the codexes on the same edition and did the exact same thing to AOS, but made everything 2.0. By that I mean all those first wave of battle tomes that are now, they're not garbage, but they're the game has evolved beyond them. Bring them up to speed, and yeah, that's what I want. And so to your question, I do want a Flesh Eater Quartz book. I want a Skaven book or books. It looks everything they've done for Scryer is always, I'm sorry, for Skaven has always been Scryer lately, which I'm not. I don't know how I feel about. I'm torn. On one hand, it is certainly some of the cooler stuff. On the other hand, I at least want clan rats brought into that book. I think that's fair. They need some bodies, but yeah. Personally, I'd like to see one book, but I know there's a lot of folks who disagree. Let's see here. Michael Kopak. Question. Lots of rumors about a possible Slaves to Darkness battle tome. If that comes to pass, what would you want to see it address, improve, and expand? Well, straight up, I want it to replace all the Marauder stuff. I want all the Marauder models dead. I want them all replaced with these barbarians that are lightly armored and stuff like that. 100%. As far as what it needs to expand upon, if they did something similar to Beast of Chaos, and this is something I asked for before Beast of Chaos came out, was that if you give them a good spell lore and a good prayer list, they have priests and wizards built into the faction. They don't need a whole lot of tweaking. And by this I mean, in Beast of Chaos, they have spells that reduce enemy armor saves. They have stuff that increases rend, rerolls to hit, and or wound. I mean, like, they have the tools to do everything, but they're not tied to a model's war scroll. And I would love that. That's actually one of my favorite things, because it rewards smart play of, like, putting the buffs in the right place. Because stat line wise, everyone's kind of crap, kind of just middle of the road. When you apply these things in a smart way, the puzzle comes together, and that unit now hits above its weight class. So that's what I want. I want a unit an army that thrives on synergy and rewards smart play by having game mechanics divorced from war scrolls. It's all in spells and prayers. Prayers, preferably, because you can't unbind them. Kenzie, would you say that you're fanatical about fanatics? I would indeed. Omniphage, question. Gnarlblade Beastlord killed anything hilarious at? He, in the third round of my tournament at Mox, went toe-to-toe with 3 Evocators, the super obnoxious Stormcast unit that just dumps mortal wounds for showing up for some stupid reason. My opponent rolled poorly on everything, and so he walked in there, and I had the Beastlord and 10 Bestigor, and he put everything into the Bestigor and killed them outright. Totally cool. So then the Beastlord by himself, I told him before the game started what my artifact was and what it did, but it didn't register to him that, like, a 6 attack, 3-up, rerolling 1s to hit with a 3 damage weapon, how that carves through Stormcast. And so he took out a unit of Evocators, and then something random came up, hit him back. He turned into a spawn, and he and whatever that last thing was, I don't know the new Stormcast as well by name. They just sat there, and I tied up an entire unit with that spawn for the rest of the game. It was incredible. MVP. Tau Dark. So you're an SOD player at heart. Oh, Slaves of Darkness. The rest are just side projects. Sort of. What I really am is a Chaos Undivided player at heart. I love the idea of just thematically of, like, these champions walking the path to glory and not really assigning themselves to a particular deity, but just kind of trying to bring chaos in all its forms everywhere. Like, I was my jam during the old world with the Chaos book, and so that's kind of what I'm into, honestly, for the most part. Beast of Chaos was the first book that allowed you to do that. So, yeah. I mean, so I do have a Slaves to Darkness army. It is just sitting in the back, unfortunately. Let's peruse this. And when they get a book, those guys are going to come out, and they're going to be awesome. Another one of those armies that, like, I don't really care what it does, as long as it's cool. I mean, as long as, like, I'll make it cool. That's weird. It should say which sprue this is. 2 and 6. Here it is. Let's see. Question. What army do you find the least fun to play against in AOS? I've mostly played skirmish, but about to jump into bigger games. I understand my experience is super limited. I haven't played all armies in every circumstance. What I can tell you is, like, Legions of Nagash is probably... I only played it in competitive or match play formats. I've never played against someone who was trying to build a truly flavorful list. It's always like to basically spam skeletons, and it's the grindiest thing. And honestly, just not a lot of fun. That's not indicative of the entire faction. I'll make that very, very clear. But yeah, it's always rough. Honestly, it's just always rough. Let's see, 2 and 6. I'm kind of curious what everyone else is. I mean, you know, I've gotten absolutely trounced by Daughters of Cain and what are they called? Deepkin. But honestly, the upside to those kinds of armies is that they beat you so stinking fast that, you know, you just reset and you play something else really, really quickly, and that's just nice. That's kind. I guess it's kind of the only upside I can think of to that experience, but okay, so we got that torso here. Building me some Skyfires. 31. Forgive me, I don't typically build when I do these live shows. This is kind of an exception. I just want to get some stuff done and chat with people in the meantime, but usually because I can't look at the screen when I'm doing stuff. Atomic Topher, I gave myself an out by going with Slanesh United, Demons, Mortals, and Beasts. Yeah, and actually that's kind of my out here. So my Slaves to Darkness I built because I wanted to be able to play all the factions, and the reason I jumped on Beasts of Chaos is I can do the same thing with battalions. They allow you to play in faction for other stuff. So I was actually I'm going to do Tzeentch first because I have all the Zangor crap. But next I'm really excited for Khorne because I'm going to jump into Warherd. Because Khorne 1 kind of makes up Warherd's biggest weakness, which is to hit. So they have reroll hit rolls with 1, and you can get more attacks and all that stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. For me, there are a few armies that I fall in love with wholeheartedly, and that's why I base my armies. I grab one. Yep. But the thing is, I love them all. I want to own them all. I really do. Eduardo Navarro, are high elves completely dead in production? I'm not sure what you mean by production, but in terms of like armies and list building and stuff like that, they're in a really rough place. Actually, when it was still Warhammer Fantasy Battles, I played high elves and I loved my army. And then when AOS came out, I dumped them because I couldn't get my head around how to bring those little sub factions together in a meaningful way. I don't regret it. I don't have regrets when it comes to trading stuff. It's kind of my MO. But I am really hoping that they do something with classic elves. You know, I mean, the same thing with Duarden. Like, we have some great new factions. Carrion Overlords and Fireslayers are both awesome in their own right. I enjoyed doing their lore videos. But I'm really hoping that the direction they're going with, like, Gloomspite and Beast of Chaos are like bringing life back to old factions. Like, just keep doing that. You already have the models. You're basically just printing money. Let me give you money. Give me lore and I'll give you money. Yeah, but I totally agree. Mogwai Man, merge and rename Slaves to Darkness and Everchosen to Dark Oath. I wouldn't be opposed to that. It's been brought up before. Like, what I really wanted before Dark Oath was ever theorized about or rumored about or anything like that was I just wanted Everchosen to be a keyword that Slaves to Darkness stuff could take, just like they do for Nurgle, Tzeentch, whatever. Just have it be Everchosen as another one, and that just means Chaos Undivided, and then you can be in faction and do all kinds of stuff for you know, Everchosen and Archaon and all that stuff like that. It's like it would have been the only thing that would have gotten me to spend that much money on an Archaon model, but they decided not to. It's all good. It only hurts a little bit. Let's see. They stole some stuff on the site for high elves, but not everything to my knowledge. Let's see. I haven't actually checked in a long time. Last I checked, well, it's been a long time, I'll give you that, but it was everything that they didn't clear out when the game came out. Alright, so we have got Sisters of the Watch, Phoenix Guard. Yeah, they never had any Spearmen in AOS. They got rid of those kits immediately. Archers were gone. Phoenix Temple stuff still there. I can't think of anything they got rid of super recently. I don't see the, what are they? Oh, no, they are White Lions. Yeah, no. They got rid of what used to be all of the core, I believe, and all of the cavalry, except for the Dragon Riders. I don't think anything was recently dissolved. But I could be wrong about that. Honestly, I haven't thought about those in almost 2 years, so... let's see here. Real Gets almost drank my paint water. Yep, I've done that. Robert Foster Jeffrey, question for everyone. If you could add a new unit to your army, what would it do? I play Magakin and can't think of much of what I'd want to add personally. Well, if I had a chance to add a unit to Beasts of Chaos, I think it would be just a horn with like a dude holding a horn with like a 8-inch range and gives +1 to hit. That's all it would be. And you can make it limit 1, but the thing is that the army hits on 4s if you're lucky. So any kind of negative modifier, it becomes not fun. And I mean that in the most like literal experience of like it just stops being a fun experience when you can't hit anything because you feel like you're rolling dice and nothing's happening. So any heroes that I come up with or any units that I come up with for armies are always going to be, how do I not let that happen? How do I like get rid of that negative play experience of rolling dice but nothing happening? And yeah, that's the best one I can think of for my army. But I'm curious what everyone else comes up with. And I'm excited for Zangor's Skyfires. Let's see here. How many page has the advantage of not being STD as the shortening? Yeah. Yeah, Bach is better than STDs. Oh man, I am way behind on questions. This is a good problem. Okay, how would you go about painting dark iron as seen on Ironjaw's blood tooths? Basically, I would just do lead belcher and then a whole bunch of consecutive layers of Nuln Oil, but you don't like. Basically, you just get a little bit in your brush and kind of wipe through it. You don't have to like utterly saturate it every single time. Duncan did a tutorial about it on Warhammer TV. Just look up dark metal or something like that. It'll show up for you. But that's all it is. It's just that with Nuln Oil. And it's cool because you can control exactly how dark it gets. It can be everything from just a dark metallic, or it could be more black with just, tiny bits of reflection in it, which is more like maybe if you put like a ton of oil on. Important thing there is that just keep doing multiple layers. Don't just keep dunking the model when it's still wet. Otherwise, you'll get some weird streaks and puddles of wash, and that won't look good. Let's see here. For AOS, I'd want a big Castigator for Stormcast, or a ranged variant of Dryads for Sylvaneth. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. A ranged variant for Dryads. Man, Sylvaneth as an army, I have dabbled with the idea of getting into for so long. But, it's one of those things that, like, any army that my friends have, I tend to, like, not want to get into because I'm a special, unique snowflake. And that's just who I am. But, Mark's Sylvaneth stuff just makes me weep because it looks so stinking pretty. Okay, so we have got 32 is the part we're looking for now. There he is. I had no idea that all the bows and arrows and crap were so fiddly on these things. That is terrifying. Like, I'm thinking about how to transport it without destroying this utterly and completely. Okay. And 47. All right. Question. Reckon it's significant that with Carrion Empire and Gitz, there are now 3 factions from Chaman Focus. One for each faction other than Order. And Gitz have a lot of Dwarden details. Oh, so you're postulating that based on everyone being around Chaman and including Dwarden details that Dwarden might be in the next faction? I would be ecstatic about that. Love it. As much as I was a little surprised, as much as a iconic fan favorite as Skaven is, more people ask me about Dispossessed and Dwarden and general stuff than Skaven, which really takes me by surprise. But it is another one of those very iconic things. Like, they did a great job in the old world as far as fleshing that army out and making it fun. And the only real exposure I had to it was in the High Elf series about, like, basically the Civil War. Can't think of the name right now, but Malarian before he became Malekith, but then or now Malarian went over there and met some dwarves for the first time. It was kind of their ambassador to the elves, and I thought that was super cool. So they did a good job of, like, giving a full history is what I'm trying to say. Okay. These arms sit in a precarious way. Oh, that looks baller. The Sigmar kits are one of those ones that, like, I don't realize how far, like, in terms of technology, GW has come when it comes to making models. And everything just kind of, like, seamlessly goes together. I'm like, oh, this is so stinking impressive. Get back to the questions in just 1 second. Let me just get all the pieces I need off the sprue here. I hate fighting Stormcast. I can usually have a back and forth game with people. You know, most of the games I've played with the Beast of Chaos have been against Stormcast. There's, like, I think 4 out of the 6 games I've played with them were all Stormcast. And they're a great counter because they are a rock. Like, all this chaff wall junk just hits them and just breaks apart. So I know exactly what you mean. There's ways to make Stormcast lists very, very different. Like, after seeing this might be a good segue into a topic, but those Forge World heads that came out, like, I looked at those and I was like, 2 years ago I said I wanted to make an Astral Claws army, and I'm looking at those and like, that sounds incredible. Or Astral Templars, or the Wild Beast Hunter guys with I think they're the maroon or lavender color ones. Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen at some point. Okay, question. When do you think we'll hear more on Hish or Ulgu? Common wisdom is that we'll hear about it when they go talk about the Light and the Dark Elves that Tyrion and Teclis have. I really hope we don't have to wait that long. Not that I think those factions will necessarily be super far away, but I don't want to have to keep waiting on factions for the world to be kind of developed. So I don't have a solid answer for you, but that's the common answer you see. Truthfully, I'd like it to be tomorrow. I'd like there to just be books that take place there or something like that. I don't know. Question: do you think we'll get a Slaves to Darkness Godsworn Warband? Oh, wait, do you think getting the Slaves to Darkness Godsworn Warband is a good place to start with a Slaves to Darkness army? I mean, no. The reason I say that is because it's very clear from a design perspective that the warbands for like Shadespire or Nightfall, whatever you want to call it, are meant to be played in that game first, and the War Scrolls are kind of secondary. So if you look at the rest of them, with the exception of the Khorne ones, I'll make an exception there. They're not that great in the game. Like, you get a hero and you get a unit that can only come if the hero goes with him. Typically, that's how it works. I would say the Slaves to Darkness Dark Lightning box is a stellar way to get started. But beyond that, I don't know. I haven't really looked at their stats, to be honest with you, but usually it's always like one named character, and then, yeah. The exception being Khorne stuff, because they're so cheap as War Scroll entries that, like, Khorne wants cheap blood tithe points. They're incredible. Jack uses them a lot, and they're just awesome. Question: between Beasts of Chaos and Slaanesh, which would you say is more competitive army? Looking for more teeth in my next army, and I'm stuck between those. That's a rough place to get stuck into. I don't think either of them really excel at having teeth. I will say that a Slaanesh Demon Prince is top notch. Like, go watch, if you go to Rerolling Ones and you watch the Fire Slayers versus Slaanesh game, that's me with my Fire Slayers versus Jack. He takes a Demon Prince and ties up a half my army for multiple turns. And I killed it eventually, but it cost me everything to do it. And when I say everything, I mean tons of units and, more importantly, time. And so he might be a great place to go look. He can just really negate hitting power. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, I keep falling farther and farther behind. Doug, what is your wild speculation for the year? I'm calling Greywater Fastness as a full faction. I respect that conviction. For me, it's Dark Oath Slaanesh, a new Dwarden faction, and I'm going to say in July, another Stormcast release, because that seems to be the way things go. Rerolling Ones Jack, Skyfires, yes. I wanted to take a little break from the Enlightened, build some Skyfires, which I didn't realize they don't have the super ornate helmet things on them, which is really nice, because that was the most annoying thing to paint. So curious if you subscribe to the fan theory that Sigmar is one of the two lost Primarchs from 40k. Not really. I think intellectual property wise they're stronger separate than they are linked together. And Sigmar exhibits abilities with that would not be becoming of a Primarch. What color primer would you recommend for Bone Splitters? I would go to the hardware store, and there is a line of Krylon paint called like camo colors. Everything about them says camo, and they're really super flat paints. One of them is a green that is a fantastic base to build up, no matter how bright or dark you want to go with your green skin. Always recommend that because they go on smooth, nice and flat. You can put GW or P3 paint straight onto it. It's amazing. Let's see here. Omniphage might be too late here, but it's pretty easy to magnetize Skyfire or Enlightened. Makes transport easier as well. Yeah. Is it though? Because you would have to magnetize. I guess if you just magnetize the torso part, right, that little bar where the abs go, that's kind of the same on all of them. Yeah, I guess you could. Honestly, though, I'm not worried about it. I measured it out, and these things are just short enough to fit into my big cookie sheet, my big, what do you call it? Cake pan, where I magnetize models, put them in here, and they stand up. The lid comes up high enough to where they can actually stand in there. So I'm not really worried about it. I'll have to figure it out when I go to travel across the country to conventions, but that's a problem for future Doug. He has knowledge. Question: How would one make a Stormcast list themed around mortal wounds? Take wizards. You would take all of the evocators on Kittyback, on foot, And that's all. That's it. That is your that's your win button. Is mortal wounds. Just read their war scrolls and you'll understand what I mean. Basically, just for showing up to the party, you roll 2 dice for every dude in the unit, and a 4 up, the enemy takes a mortal wound. If you have a 10-man unit of evocators, it's nasty. I shouldn't say. I don't know if they can go. I don't know what their sizes are, to be honest. Don't quote me on that, but like I saw several 5-man units because they're just obnoxious. Ooh. Okay. Sweet. I think I'm actually getting caught up here. Question: Archeon plus Slanesh or Archeon plus Nurgle? He's kind of his own thing. He kind of goes with everything. I mean, I think he himself would probably benefit more from one of the Slanesh things, like one of the 3 different types of armor, like the imposters, you know what I mean, all kind of stuff. But I guess he wouldn't benefit from all the Nurgle wheel corruption junk, so probably Nurgle. Yeah. Unfazed, have a wonderful night. Okay, I am caught up. So if I skipped anyone's question, ask it again. I'm just gonna let the feed run because I fell behind for a little bit. All right, and we are building more dudes. Let's see. 3. Okay. Yeah, evocators are they're mean. I like the kitty cat ones. They're fine because they're a small unit. You know, I mean, they don't have the same level of output. But man, my goodness, a unit of 5 of them for their points cost is just, it's unreal. It's one of those ones that you look at and you're like, what were y'all thinking? What did y'all think was going to happen? You know that the internet just tells you to take 5 of something. Why would you give us a unit this good? Every list that I played at the event, Stormcast list that wasn't Jack's because he focuses on shooting, but yeah, it was just jam-packed with evocators. And the Dracolines, as you just said, are also super good. What's nice about them is that as opposed to evocators having to be near or engaged in combat with the unit to be able to use their mortal wound junk, Dracolines can just walk up and barf it like so many inches away. That's kind of cool. Let's see here. In 33 is the arm for this. Any suggestions for a generalist army similar to Stormcast that isn't as popular as Stormcast? Another generalist army. Well, generalist army. Slaves to darkness, and when you give it marks, can be a lot of different things. In fact, the basic Chaos Warrior is almost identical to a Liberator, like style line wise. Instead of having 2 wounds per dude, instead of having, how does that work? There's more. You get more. Yeah, it is that. So, basically, you get the exact same things. Slaves to Darkness, Chaos Warriors are just smaller. My brain's having all kinds of farts here. The cool thing about the Chaos Warriors is they're basically the same as Liberators, but their shield gives them a chance to save against mortal wounds, which is kind of a cool thing that not everyone, I think, capitalizes on. Running evocators is like playing Oddjob in GoldenEye. That is the greatest reference ever, and you're absolutely right. The youth will not understand the pain of Oddjob. And I've never trusted short people since. I'm 6'3", everyone's short. Let's see here. Question. After watching your vids on Akshi and Daughter of Cain lore for my army narrative, I would love to hear your thoughts on how that realm would affect the primarily Scathborn Calebron temple. Let's see, Scathborn. Okay, so snakes. Right? Isn't that Scathborn? It's been a while. Give my brain a second here to catch up. Mostly Scathborn. It would make them aggressive. That's kind of a key feature that you kind of take on the traits of whatever realm you're in. So being an Akshi would make them aggressive for sure. You might do cool red tints in the flesh. Instead of having, I think their base studio scheme has like purples and blues and that kind of stuff woven into their color scheme. Like going with reds, I think would be very striking. And green stuffing fire is not super hard. I would try that. Honestly, I think when it comes to theming stuff from Realms, it's the little things that matter, like your bases, the color choice. I've talked about a whole bunch of stuff when I did that video on Actually. Can't remember what I suggested, but there I did put modeling ideas in there, so I would suggest checking that out. Kinsey says, I want to find a reason to take older Stormcast units. Any suggestions? Honestly, I struggle. And I think that is honestly a conversation I had with the Rerolling Ones guys. At least I threw my opinion out there and no one questioned it. But just that I think the problem with the latest set of releases from GW regarding Stormcast was that they're just better versions of the old stuff, with the exception of Judicators. In that Sequitors are just better Liberators near the same price. And it would make sense to me if they were kind of like weed out the old stuff. You know, they were just like, hey, we messed up and this first wave of models look super static and boring. Sorry, everybody. Here's some new stuff that does cool things, right? It's better and it costs the same points-wise. It'd be a crappy move because everyone had already bought models. But I would be like, okay, it would at least explain their design choice. Whereas what I'm looking at now, I'm like, but why would anyone take Liberators? Why would you ever? I mean, they're cheaper. I understand that. But not by much. So, let's see here. And 48 is the bow. And that's kind of my problem with it. You know, I don't really care that they're good. I don't care that evocators are effective because you can balance it out with points and things like that. That's fine. I'm happy to just wade through it for a year. I don't care. It's more just like when you already own something and when something comes out that devalues it so hard. Am I like crazy? 48. Just telling me to look for something that I just don't see. Oh, there it is. Let's see here. Are you always on? Are you also on Twitch or YouTube only at the moment? YouTube only. Honestly, I have not loved Twitch as a platform. It's just not something I grew up using. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of new and foreign to me. The only thing I do on there is I'm a subscriber to Warhammer TV, so I can listen to design commentary, but that's pretty much it. They gave you so many stinking necks in this thing. It's unbelievable. Here we go. Let's see here. I just bought 2 Start Collecting Beasts of Chaos. Just scrolled up. Beasts of Chaos, Beast Lord, and 2 Chariots. Any suggestion for some heavy hitters? You know what? I'm building them right now. As far as heavy hitters for Beasts of Chaos, the Common Wisdom. This is not from me. This is from the Facebook group, which is awesome. You should join the Facebook group. Is Bestigor are great because they have quite a bit of damage output if you roll well, which I tend to not do. And then it's a lot of Zangor stuff is really good. When you get into battalions, I do believe that the Warherd stuff will be more significant when you can get reroll hit rolls of 1, like from Khorne, because their biggest thing is just hitting. Honestly, the 2 wound rolls are just fine, but hitting is the problem. So that's my suggestions. Look at battalions that help you with hitting, or focus on Zangor stuff. And Bestigors are the best. They earn their name. Let's see here. As a Khorne player, it does hurt to see other things like skeletons from Legions of Nagash doing as much damage DPS as my Blood Reavers who are buffed up. That's something that Jack pointed out to me over at Reeling Ones, because he plays Khorne, or had played it quite a bit, and it's something that hadn't clicked with me. And it's very insightful the way he put it, and I'm gonna butcher it, but basically the idea of like other factions being more Khorne than Khorne is. Like Daughters of Cain is a better Khorne than the Khorne actual army. They're more blendery, they're more fighty, they're more aggressive and faster. Whereas, like, you would expect that Khorne Bloodbound would be that way. But they're not. And so, yeah. All that to say, I understand your frustration. Totally. When they clearly define archetypes of, like, what temperaments and armies and strengths of these factions are, it stinks when someone else does it better than you, and I completely get that. Plus, I mean, there's a myriad of reasons why skeletons are so stinking good. It's also just like amazing resiliency and stuff like that. Question: I have a little boy on the way. Would the middle name 2+ tough be weird? Not if you like spell it out and make it sound like French or something, like make it sound like it's another language, and then people just won't question it. To be like, oh, that must have been his grandfather or something. I don't know. I'm not gonna try it. I'm not even gonna insult other culture by trying to butcher someone else's language by making 2+ tough sound like an actual word, but you know what I mean. Balthazar question: any tips for transporting big models such as behemoths? I've literally adapted a milk carton to fit my Archaeon. I love it. Big things. I'm going to be working on that myself. I'm going to be exploring a few options because I'm going to have a Chimera and like Gorgon and that kind of stuff. So I'll be working on it in the future, and I will post things as I know. Honestly, my solution right now is going to make it cringe, where basically I just wrap up a t-shirt and put it in the bottom of a plastic container and then set him very gently in there and keep him bundled up because that's the best I can do at the moment. Because the arm pose of the Gorgon is just so outrageous. He's just like, like, I don't know. Makes it really stinking hard to transport. You're invited to our baby shower. Oh, thank you. baby showers are not my parties to crash. Let's see here. Hagnar and Death being tougher / better attrition than Nurgle. Exactly. Yep. You take your army's thing and someone does it better than you. Can give you the feel badsies. Man. A little bit of plastic just fell. There we go. Fell right on his nose. I get bullied for playing Daughters of Cain. Feels bad. I got bullied for playing Bone Splitters when they first came out. I mean, bullied is a strong word. I should not use that liberally, but people don't want to play games with me, so that's why I ended up selling the army. And I have said before that it is one of the only 2 armies that I've ever gotten rid of that I actually regret selling. Usually with my particular cycle of hobby ADD, what happens is I play an army until I feel like I'm comfortable with it, and then I trade it off just, I don't know, spite myself or something, I don't know. But with that army, I didn't think I was ready to get rid of it, but I was so desperate to play games and have fun, and the channel was just starting, and so I was like, I need to play games to be able to feel like I can talk about this kind of stuff, so made a decision to get rid of it, and I regret it. Don't give in to the pressure. 10 out of 10, do not recommend. I suppose that'd be a 1 out of 10, wouldn't it? Okay, let's see here. I like that you're like so enthusiastic on my t-shirt idea. That's all I got. I'm sorry. Can I pre-order you Beast of Chaos in that case? Can you pre-order me? I don't understand. Can I pre-order? Oh, you mean like with me selling armies? Yeah, the numerous times Jack from Rolling Ones has made jokes that he's gonna love seeing my army on his shelf just because he's bought the Iron Jaws and he bought the Fire Slayers. Everyone's waiting. They're always like, "Yeah, sell it, Doug. Go ahead, keep talking about how you're gonna play the same army all year." As they're like counting the Benjamins in their wallet. You know what I mean? This army's gonna be mine. Let's see here. And 5 is the last one. 5. There we go. I am absolutely amazed at how many extra bits they give you in the Skyfire / Enlightened kit. Oh, a lot of Zine stuff in here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm regarding Dak's comment regarding like skeletons, with that being, I don't think Legions of Nagash is the problem. I think skeletons are the problem. I don't like skeletons because if you were to ask me like, Doug, what are the armies that you would, if you had infinite money, what are the armies that you would create? One of them would be a death army. It'd be Legions of Nagash, but it would be zombies, because with zombies you're constantly adding models and then tearing them off the board like in droves, and there's nothing more fun. And like, you can feed zombies to your opponent just like you feed them skeletons and still win on objectives and still be obnoxious. The thing is, though, is because your opponent can take models off very easily and you can put them back on, it feels like you're all doing something rather than just like 40 dudes sitting still doing nothing. And I think, so that when I think about that, like, is Legions of the Gash a problem? I don't think it is. I think skeletons are what make it not fun. For me personally, when I play against it. If it's just loads of skeletons, I know it's going to be, honestly, probably a very boring game. Which is a bummer because I think skeletons are thematically one of the coolest things ever. Like, but I don't think they crumble the way skeletons should. Or it might be cool if skeletons just had a low bravery, meaning like to kind of reenact how they crumble to dust and things like that. I think that would be a fine way to meet in the middle. But because Jason Larson just said I love skeletons, so do I. Like, I loved reading about like Manfred von Karstein, like raising huge things of skeleton. Oh, it was so fun. It is fun to read about and interact with. But on a tabletop with their exact rules, it can create a super negative play experience where your opponent is rolling dice all day but nothing's actually happening, and there's nothing more disappointing. Oh, did my feed just quit? Weird. Kind of blinked there for a second, even though it's telling me I'm at full health. Or like the stream has a green health. Okay. Vinci, I miss real vampire counts, not the 3 units they have now. Yeah, it's an army that I'm thinking about like one day in the far future getting into, simply because I want to prove to people like you can do cool fun story stuff. It's not Hero Hammer with the Mortarks and Nagash only. You can just do, I don't know, unnamed characters and make your own heroes, and it will still be super fun. 11, here we go. Truth be told, I am a simple soul. I mostly scream bloody murder and run at things and hack them to pieces the stupid way. Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why I got an army that plays this way. I was actually thinking about getting into Tau for 40k, and Ben, who was my last guest on Why Reforging, pointed out, because he's a 40k guy mostly. He was like, they play super differently than anything you've played before, so like, you got to really think out your shooting phase. That's kind of where things live and die and that kind of stuff. And I was like, if it requires a different part of my brain, I have to pass because I don't have a different part. This is all I got. The run and charge forward is the only part that I got. Let's see here. San Pedro, Flesh Eater Courts are the coolest death army. I gotta agree with you. I like them. I made a video that I make fun of myself for constantly. Many moons ago, many years ago. Oh my gosh, that was actually one of my first videos about how I legitimately believe Flesh Eater Courts are one of the best armies. And the reason I said it back then is because when the book came out, no other units that had matched play, well, that had points really, when those came about, were able to add models back to a unit. Like, it was a unique thing for them for a very brief time. Now we have some stuff that can add models back, but at the time, that was their jam. And coming from a background of playing War Machine and Hordes, recursion, so adding models, dead models back to a unit, was the most powerful effect in the game, because you could just do so much scenario-wise, and you can make your unit spread out in all kinds of different ways. As people were killing stuff, you could basically move your unit in a pseudo move across the table by adding models to it on one far side and that kind of stuff. Just all kinds of jazz stuff. So I made that video and I made fun of myself ever since, because the power creep has just gotten up exponentially to now they're certainly not one of the worst armies in the game, but they're not anywhere near the top tables. But I love Flesh Eater Courts. They took some serious bold choices with that army, and I thought every single one of them was amazing. That they're all crazy, that they're alive, but they're still part of the death faction, that let's see here. That they did so many internal kit bashes. Like, they used to just be 2 kits, but they're like, hey, if you build the Crypt Horror kit this way, it turns into all different stuff, and then you have Heroes kit bash. Like, you have an entire faction with so many different kinds of units from like 4 model kits. It's unbelievably cool. And I thought that was amazing. I still do. I know Jack has some sitting there, and if I was not already building a Horde army, I would take his, because, well, that's what I do. I take Jack's stuff, I paint it, and I sell it back to him. It's never intended to go that way, but that's always how it ends up, apparently. Let's see here. Question: what do you do about incorporating named characters' rules on your own named heroes? What do you do about incorporating named character? I'm not sure I understand the question, Kenzie. Like, if you write your own rules and apply it to a named hero? Go ahead and clarify that for me, and I'm happy to answer. Let's see here. Table War cases. Yeah, I've been looking at Table War cases, actually. One of the things I've actually thought about reaching out to them regarding a sponsorship. Just be like, hey, hook me up with a Table War case. I'll talk about Table War cases, because I'm looking at one. Problem is, they also sell gaming mats, and so do I. I have that one design. I don't think they really care, honestly. We're not competitors in that field. They dominate, and I'm just like, here. But might be cool. Let's see here. Still waiting on that Flesh Eater Courts is the best army in Age of Sigmar shirt. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to work on shirts later this week to come up with a few designs for the store, so it'll be kind of fun. I like that kind of graphic art stuff, and Jess is really good at it too. She might help. Might chip in. Let's see here. Just got a Seraphon Star Collecting box. Any advice? Advice for Seraphon. I don't play them. I'm trying to think of things I would point you to. I know the Star Collecting box is a super good value. I hear people are not super huge into the cavalry, the Saurus cavalry that come in there, which is a shame because it looks super cool. Anyone in the chat, if you are a Seraphon player, would you help our good friend out here with advice? Because I woefully cannot. Let's see here. Like, what if you want to use the Magister of Hammerhall special rules and model on one's own? I don't think I've ever tried that, where you just take rules from one model and put it on another one. I'm not familiar with the Magister of Hammerhall. Unless I'm just forgetting something. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, like, when you talk about how would I handle things, just ask your opponent. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it always comes down to. If they're cool, if you swap some things around or try a different rule or for a thematic reason, that's just the answer. Communication covers a multitude of sins. Wargaming sins, I should say. Tominator just tuned in. What are you building? I'm building 3 Zangor Skyfires for my Beast of Chaos army. Because in my search to be the best, like no one ever was, I'm going to start with the Power Gamery stuff. Which is okay, because these models are incredibly cool. And some of the best kits they've designed, I'd say. Second the table war case instead of... Oh, yeah. Okay, table war case, I'm going to check it out. I've heard that skinks are super, super good. Yeah. Okay, Kenzie. I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand. I don't know all the new Stormcast stuff, so that's why I was confused. So I went to where I checked out his name. He's got a crown that heals a wound at the start of the turn. I think it costs a few more points. I would honestly kind of handle that like I do pretty much anything, any kind of additional stuff I would do with like Path of Glory, which is like, hey, I play a game with an opponent. If I win, I get an artifact that I'm fighting to seek or whatever like that, and then just kind of incorporate that into a story. Make sure your opponent's on board with it. If it does seem too good, you can always play with points. I'd say move in increments of 20 up, 20 down. Because the healing wound per turn is not gonna, it's not gonna tilt the game super duper hard. But yeah. I'm surprised you're building Zangors. I thought you liked the idea of Chaos Undivided. I absolutely do. I'm going to be running them as Beasts of Chaos, capital BOC, where they have access to them. They're super good in the game. Yeah, exactly right. Vinci said it. I'm playing it all. So basically, here's the thing. This army is like drinking from a fire hydrant. Where there's so many things that you can really invest into. And so basically what I just decided was I'm going to pick a direction and go that way. So my first direction that I'm headed is towards Zine stuff. So I'm going to start with all Beasts of Chaos stuff, but with a focus on, hey, I'm building towards a Zinch army. I'm going to start there. The next thing I'm going to do after that is going to be Khorne. And so for Khorne, once I got all the Zangor stuff done, I'm not going to actually buy like the actual Zangors. This is Skyfires and Enlightened. That's it. Oh, and a Shaman. But the next thing I'm going to do is Khorne, and that's going to be a huge focus on Warherd, because they definitely fit into that battalion a lot better, I think. So, yeah. So I am focused on a bit of everything. I just to keep my sanity, I just decided to pick a direction, what I think was important, rather than having like a random unit of Bulgor and a random unit of Enlightened and a random, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. So that is the intention there. And then, because of course this is a year-long project, by the end of the year I will have a collection that will allow me to play as all of them. I can pick up a Zinch army, I can pick up a Khorne army, and so forth. So yeah. 44. Let's see here. Charles. Definitely need an AOS kill team. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to do a video probably later this week about, well, not this week, probably next week, about the new skirmish stuff that came out in White Dwarf. I'm a little, not miffed or anything like that. I'm just not enthused about it at all. It still has the fundamental problems of current skirmish, which is you can take any unit, which they hype it up to be like, how amazing would it be to have Nagash fight against blah, blah, and it's like, no, that's not fun. He's so good. Whereas I honestly think design-wise, one of the absolute strengths of actual Kill Team for 40k is that they reined in which units can actually be a part of it, and I think that has a huge effect on balancing, which I know that they know that because they did it, but I don't know why they keep trying to pass off skirmish as being better for not doing that. And I don't get it. But I also understand to do the kind of release that I want them to do for skirmish takes time, because they did a lot of reboxing of products and stuff like that for 40k Kill Team. And so like that's the kind of thing that I think, seeing the success of it, we wouldn't see that kind of release for an AOS type Kill Team until 2020. I mean, it's a lot of marketing and that kind of stuff. The nuts and bolts of how to make that thing work. It's not just about getting a book out there. How does your hand fit? Oopa. Let's see. This dude's got a hand that I cannot figure out how it's supposed to fit on this wrist. Sorry for the silence. Looking forward to Slaanesh Tome and Chaos this year. Yeah, absolutely. I am trying to decide who I'm most excited for, like Slaanesh I'm most excited for Dark Oath because that's my jam. But I think so many Slaanesh players have been waiting for so long that I'm really excited for them to have their time in the sun. Oh, show. Real gets my AOS Iron Jaws army is going to kill my wall at $85 per brute box. Ooh, where are you located at, dude? $85 a brute box. I don't know what they are in the US, but ain't that. As far as like the big models, like someone mentioned Bloodthirsters, and then I was talking about Nagash earlier. Like it could be a fun like one-off mission. Like I would imagine like a super fun narrative Kill Team thing where it's like, we're fighting through a Chaos Forge, and then one turn we fight a Hellbrute, right? But there has to be like a special cinematic thing, not just like Nagash is my skirmish team. I think it's cool for narrative stuff, but I also think named characters probably shouldn't be allowed in skirmish, but that's just an opinion. Oh, you're using Australia. You're using dollary dues, not money. I'm just kidding. 100% a joke. That's why it's $85. That makes sense. Let's see here. AOS, not AOS related, just tech stuff. Consider starting a YouTube channel. I was wondering if you have any recommendations for a mic and camera. Well, I use a Logitech something. I don't know what I use. I feel like it's a C920, something like that. And then for a mic, I do know that one. I use a Blue Yeti. I enjoy it very much. Yeah, Australia. That secondary market's the most important market, from what I understand. I swear at one point in my life I'm gonna go on a vacation to Australia and just like be like, hey, listen, put a big message out to all the Australian boards, like, listen, what do you guys need? I'll do a like a refugee run for GW models. Let me help you guys out. Hook you up. I'll collect all the models I can find that people are getting rid of here. Some guys trying to clear out crud. I'll be like, give it to me. I'm going on a mission to save the Australians some money, and I'll take all my models with me across the ocean. Vinci, any editing software recommendations? For video editing, I use Wondershare Filmora is the software that I use, and I absolutely love it. Not just because it's easy to use and it's kind of drag and drop, which is nice because I'm not a tech savvy dude. My internet is all over the place today. I'm so sorry, guys. But mainly because they have a lot of tutorials and stuff online. So yeah, I think that's definitely a strength of it. But oh. You know, I'm trying to play around with my computer here. See if something's in the way. It's acting like it has 0 reception, but that's very odd. Okay, sorry about that. Just kind of playing around with stuff, see if I can get the internet to work a little better, but it just doesn't want to. Okay, that is 3 Skyfighters with the leader done. Alright, friends.